welcome to Hope at Home for Kids. My name is Vegas. I'm super excited to be here with you guys because we're going to do something special. Can you guys say special? Special. We're going to be doing something special. It's a special episode today, and it's called Fearless, and it's about not being afraid, recognizing how God is with us every step of the way. And if God is for us, who can be against us? And so we're going to jump right in. But before we get into our lesson, we are going to go over this week's saying, and Mr. Luigi the Builder is going to help us out. So get ready for that because it's going to be special. All right, see you in a minute.
It's me, Luigi. It's so good to see you all, children. Welcome. Today we're about to go over a wiggly saying. And our saying this week is, the Lord is with me. Okay now, so we're going to all say it together now, shall we? All together. The Lord is with me. Excellent. You did a good job, children. Good job.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Luigi. That was awesome. We are going to dive into one of my favorite stories in the Bible. We're going to be talking about David. Remember, a couple weeks ago, we talked about how David had 7 other brothers. 7. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine like sharing bathrooms or your room with 7 other siblings? That's a lot, right? And so he had 7 other brothers, and the prophet Samuel came to anoint the next king over Israel. And David's dad, Jesse, invited all of David's older brothers in to go before the prophet, but he didn't invite David in. He actually left David outside taking care of the sheep. Can you guys say wah, 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 wah? Right? But anyways, God had David's back. God had chosen David because David was a man after God's own heart. David loved God and was serving God and was constantly spending time with God. And so David got brought in from the field, and Samuel anointed him as the next king over Israel. And what ended up happening is, while David was in a process to become king, the Philistines was an enemy army that came against the Israelites. And they had the Israelites on one side and the Philistines on the other, and a valley in between them. And the Philistines came up with a plan. They're like, you know what? Hey guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to select a champion. And you guys can select the champion. And whoever's champion wins, they win the war. So instead of having the 2 armies battle, they're just going to have one person from each side go against each other. Whoever wins the war. And so the Philistines, they didn't play fair. And so what they ended up doing is they ended up picking a champion. His name was Goliath, right? You guys have maybe heard of the ride, the roller coaster at Six Flags called Goliath. Well, you know why it's called Goliath? Because it was big. It's a huge roller coaster, right? Well, Goliath was humongous. He was over 9 feet tall. He had over 100 pounds worth of armor on. He had so much armor, he weighed more than you guys, like just in his armor, right? Tons of armor. And not only did he have armor on, he had a shield bearer, somebody who would walk in front of him holding his shield. So Goliath was like dressed to the nines in armor. He had tons of armor. And so, needless to say, the Israelites were afraid of Goliath, right? They were totally afraid because they thought, who in the world are we going to send up against this giant? Because they got their eyes off of God and they got it on the people. They're like, we don't have anybody who's 9 feet tall. Who's going to go up against them? Well, David, who was sent by his dad, Jesse, to go visit his brothers on the battlefield because his brothers were in the army. David wasn't even old enough to be in the army, but David was going to bring him food. And what ended up happening is David came while the Goliath, the Philistine, came out to taunt Israel. See, for 40 days, Goliath came out every single day to talk against the Israelites and against God. And he would taunt them and make fun of them. And when the Israelites saw Goliath coming, they would run and hide. But David was different. See, David heard that Goliath was taunting him, and taunting the Israelites and making fun of God. And David was like, hey guys, why are we not fighting this man? Let me go up against him. I'll go up against this uncircumcised Philistine. What does that mean? It means a guy who doesn't know God, because David recognized that God was on his side. And so we're going to take a look at what happens when David goes up against Goliath.
Man, gee willikers, Mr. King, I sure do like your crown.
Oh, wait, you must be David.
Oh, yeah, that's me, sorry.
Are you the boy I heard talking among my army?
Yeah.
Wow, I must say you sounded very fearless.
Oh, you betcha.
Did you know that Goliath is a giant?
Oh, giant schmiant.
Wow, don't be ridiculous, my boy. You want to go up against this fearless warrior that has been at battle for many years against many other adversaries.
King.
You want to go up against this giant?
Yes, King, I understand your concern. He may have been in battles, but I've been in battles as well. And my God was with me in those, because I fought a lion and a bear. I delivered the sheep from their mouth. So surely, God will deliver me from this giant as well.
So you're saying the Lord will be with you?
Of course.
Well, if you must, go ahead, my boy.
Nice, I got this.
Hey.
Let's go. Yeah.
And may the Lord be with you.
Oh, thank you, sir, and also with you. Hurrah!
What is that? What is that little thing over there? That little dot coming at me?
Yeah.
What are you? Whoa, how dare they send me a child? Do they not see who I am? Did you not hear the guy? The one with the crown? I am giant. I am fearless.
Well, you may be fearless and all that, and you may have your fancy armor and your cool helmet and your crazy goggles, but get this, I have the armor of God on, and I'm going to win this fight, because, Mr. Goliath, this isn't my fight to fight. It's God's, and he already has victory. Yeah! We did it, Israelites. Let's get these Philistines. Yeah!
Wow, wasn't David awesome? See, David knew that God was with him and he had nothing to be afraid of. See, the Philistines didn't surrender like they had promised. After David defeated Goliath, they were so afraid, they literally ran away. They ran home to their mommies and their daddies because they were afraid. They were afraid. They were totally scared, right? Can you guys say scared? Scared, right? They were totally afraid. See, David knew that he didn't have to be afraid because God was with him. He could walk in confidence, knowing that God was on his side. And that's how we need to be. We need to recognize no matter what's going on, God is with us and for us. And just like God helped David defeat Goliath, God will help us in every single situation. And see, David was able to do something a whole army worth of men couldn't do. He had a relationship with God, and so he knew that God was for him. And instead of being afraid, he trusted and relied on God. And so as we have a relationship with God and draw closer with God every single day, we can recognize that we don't need to be afraid. And we can recognize that God is a promise keeper. We talked about that earlier this year, how God always keeps his promises. And if God keeps his promises and God's word is true, and it is, then we have nothing to be afraid of because God has already won the battles for us. And so we just need to trust and rely on God and walk it out with God every single step away. And instead of getting afraid in situations, we need to remind ourselves how big our God is. God is so big that he measured the oceans within his hands. God is so big that when he spoke, he's created everything that we can see, the earth, the moon, the stars. We have a God who created the universe, the only God. And when we have such a big God as that, what do we have to be afraid of? Not a thing. And so I just want to remind you guys, no matter what's happening, remember that God is on your side and you have nothing to be afraid of. And so maybe you're like me when I was younger. I was a little bit afraid of the dark. And so when the lights would go off, I would run into rooms where the light was on. But you know what? Instead of being afraid, I want to challenge you guys. If you're afraid of something, if fear starts to come up, I want you guys to say it again and again. God is for me. I have nothing to be afraid of. God is never going to leave me. I have nothing to be afraid of. I am brave because God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And so there's a VeggieTales song that I really love, and it says, God is bigger than the boogeyman. He's bigger than Godzilla and the monsters on TV, right? I mean, that's a silly song, but it's true. God is bigger than anything we'll face, anything that we see. Just remember that God is with you and for you, and you too can be fearless because you serve an amazing God. I love you guys. We'll see you soon. But before you tune out, we're going to go to this week's memory verse. So tune in with Mr. Luigi. I love you guys. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome back, children. Welcome back. And now it's time to go over our memory verse. And our verses found this week is Joshua 1:9. For it says, "This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Okay, now we're about to go over it together now. Okie dokie. Here we go. Joshua 1:9. This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Great job, kids. You did excellent. Excellent work. Mamma mia.